To the American tennis fans watching, it might still be called the US Open, but the Europeans continue to own it as Jannik Sinner wins his second major of the year and his first US Open, and Aryna Sabalenka wins her first US Open and third major. Both of them are absolutely dominant on hard court. And I'm going to talk to you about how they won their matches, especially with Jannik Sinner, who I predicted to win, kind of destroying Taylor Fritz in 3 sets, and both of them upsetting the American crowd who were pulling for the home favorites. So great results for them. Let's break it down. That's what we do here on the Slice presented by Betway. So let's get into it. Well, how are we feeling? That was today on Sunday, a great performance from Jannik Sinner. Clinical, champion type of play. He's been there before, and you could tell that he had been. Didn't get flustered when he got broken in the third set or the first set, and beats Taylor Fritz in 3 straight sets in what honestly could have been a quarterfinal or anything like that. Very straightforward. You know, very quote unquote is, relative to it being a major final. 6-3, 6-4, 7-5 in 2 hours and 16 minutes. I think a lot of people were hoping for a better final, but I did tweet out at the beginning of the match, American fans, this might be a quick one. And I say that because I'm Canadian, and any chance we get to dump on the Americans, I'll take. But no fault of his own to Taylor Fritz, who had an amazing 2 weeks. He would have obviously been pretty upset in the way that he wasn't able to do more today, but he had his best 2 weeks, his best tournament ever, and at a major, and just a great week for him. And American tennis, they were all going crazy. You're watching the ESPN feed, and they're going nuts about when this and that. I don't know about you, but I did not have a lot of faith that American was going to win the title this weekend at the U.S. Open. Both Aryna Sabalenka and Jannik Sinner were big favorites coming in, and they delivered. No sets lost between them. Straight sets on both sides. So yeah, that's that. If you were betting on it and you bet on the favorites, you would have made some cashola because the Slice is presented by Betway and they're our friends. So they've been supporting us throughout the whole tournament, and it's been the best place to go for me to place bets and to use their app, which is really easy to use. So shout out to Betway for supporting the Slice. Click a link below to check it out yourself if you want to bet responsibly. Okay, what happened today? So Jannik Sinner wins the U.S. Open with the Kuroda boys, 2024 men's singles champion. Like I said, he played a solid match in robotic form. Before I get into this, I will also say that it's a bad day to be a Jannik Sinner hater. There's a lot of people, and maybe it's just the people that I spend too much time looking at on Twitter, which is a bunch of the degenerate Djokovic fans like Pavi G and his clan, who are like huge Sinner haters now because Sinner failed 2 anti-doping tests and then was subsequently cleared for no fault of his own. No doping was found by the governing body. So I guess if you don't want to trust any of the governing bodies of the sport, then you would potentially think that Jannik Sinner is a cheat or a doper, but I don't think that. Most reasonable people don't think that. But he did mention, Jannik, that it's been a super stressful time, and I think you could see Darren Cahill get emotional right when Jannik won, and I think that probably had a large part to do with it. The stress they've been under for the last few months, kind of high, not being able to release a secret based on the process that was going on. So yeah, that was all part of it, and I'm extremely impressed by how Sinner handled the moment, handled this whole tournament coming out, playing a bad first set against Mackie McDonald, recovering and playing up to the level he needed to play in each match going throughout the tournament. He beat a really good Daniil Medvedev. He beat a really good Tommy Paul. He beat Taylor Fritz from the bottom half of the draw. And he never faltered as the favorite in all of those matches. And that's why he's an absolutely deserved U.S. Open champion. And now he's had just an incredible 2024 season, especially on the hard courts. Wins Australia, wins Miami, wins Cincinnati, wins the U.S. Open, and wins Hala, and mix that in there. So incredible year. I believe the record for him so far in 2022 is 55 wins, 5 losses. And you're thinking, it's interesting because if he had lost today and Fritz won, and you would have been like, oh, wow, it's a bit of a shock winner, put him up there with Marin Cilic and Juan Martín Del Potro, guys like that who have won a single major. I think we'd be thinking, is Jannik Sinner in that same pool of dominance with Alcaraz and Djokovic now when it comes to the majors over the last few years? But the fact that he won here, to me, it makes it very obvious that a new era of men's tennis is fully here. Split year between Sinner and Alcaraz at the majors. No big three majors for the first time since 2002. It's clearly a new era, and Sinner is at the head of it when it comes to hardcore tennis for sure. So yeah, let's look at the match today versus Fritz. He wins, as mentioned, 6-3, 6-4, 7-5 in 2 hours and 16 minutes. So if we go to the match summary with the stats, what did I talk about beforehand? In the show notes, I talked about. Sorry, let's go through what I talked about. The keys were been there, done that. In the moment, I thought the moment we get to Taylor Fritz, and from most of the match, I think it did. He didn't play maybe the best that he could, and Sinner did play to the level that he needed to in these big moments. And I believe it's because Sinner has been there before and done it. And so many times we see a player who's a first-time major finalist not play their best in that. So yeah, Sinner did that just as I predicted he would do. The baseline game. For most of the match, Sinner dominated from the base. Not dominated, but had the upper hand in the baseline rallies. Sometimes Taylor Fritz went big to try and push Sinner around, and it worked sometimes. He hit big winners at key points, but then he also missed a lot of balls long in key points as well and let Sinner into the match and into his service games too with that type of big play. So Sinner was the more consistent and better player from the baseline. And then the return game. I was talking about the Sinner return mainly, but maybe we have to talk more about the Fritz return because it was not able to take advantage of some of Sinner's, lower percentage of first serve in percentage than he would want. We'll get to it, but I believe Sinner only served for the match. Yeah, 51% first serves in, and but he was able to win 88% of those first serve points and 48% of his second serve. So he wins in both of those categories. Fritz gets more serves in, but he only wins 68% of his first serve. So Jannik Sinner is obviously returning great there. He's standing way back, as was mentioned by the commentators. He's standing way back in the court, getting the ball back in play, and then playing up the rally. And Fritz was not able to be aggressive enough or concise enough with his attacking game to take advantage of that court positioning off of his serve. Yeah, and he got broke. He got broken 6 times in the match. He broke Sinner twice, but both times Sinner was able to recover the break in the set and then break again. So yeah, let's go set by set. First set, Sinner gets 60% first serves in, but he only wins 67% of his first serves, but he gets 60% of his second. So he got broken after he broke Fritz. So he broke Fritz in the first game of the match, or first game, in the first game of the match. And then Fritz broke back, and then Fritz got broken to end the set. But in general, maybe a bit of a cagey first set. People were talking about the quality of the tennis wasn't that high. 7 winners for Sinner, 8 unforced errors, 5 winners for Fritz, 12 unforced errors. Into the second set, then Sinner's first serve dominance started to really show. He wins 14 out of 14 first serve points. Won his only break point that he got and was not broken. So set 2 was 6-4. It was again a close one all set, and then I believe he got Fritz got broken while he was serving to stay in the second set. So Sinner plays a better set, really clinical set. 1 unforced error according to the U.S. Open. 7 winners, 12 winners for Fritz, but 7 unforced errors. So Sinner goes into I've been here before mode. I'm winning this clinically mode, and it started to feel like a bit of a rout at this point. And then Fritz did do well in the third set. He got the first break, and but he was not able to hold on to it. But he was playing some bigger tennis there. He won a higher percentage on a second serve, but he was being more aggressive on the second serve of Sinner. But still, he didn't win a first serve point in the last 2 sets versus Jannik Sinner. And Sinner only served 40% of his first serves in the third set, which kind of gave Fritz a gap to be more aggressive, which he did. He got the early break, but he wasn't able to hold on to it. But again, negative unforced error to winner ratio for both guys in that set. So it wasn't the cleanest tennis, maybe. But Sinner was just a lot more clinical. And the Fritz return is, I believe, something that he, is kind of well known that he's not super solid with, and he's trying to improve. But he's definitely going to need to if he's going to want to win a major, I believe, because against even, not the best serving performance from Sinner, he wasn't able to hurt him on that. And you need to be able to, when these top guys, Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, give you opportunities, you need to be able to take them. And if that's an off serving night, you have to be able to take it. So Sinner was able to get away with it tonight without getting a super, acceptable level of first serves in and win. So yeah, that's amazing for Sinner, tough for Fritz. And as we saw, the Crota boys were there to be with Jannik Sinner as he went. So now you're looking forward. I think in the men's game, we're looking forward. And what do you see? You see Djokovic. To me, I see Djokovic still able to win majors for sure. Where's the desire going to be at? Will he come back in 2025 and be like, why don't I try and win more majors? Why don't I try and get 25? Why don't I try and get to 30? But we got Alcaraz and Sinner, who are now established. When you've won 2+ majors, you're an established Grand Slam champion now, and they will feel like that entering every tournament. Australian Open in January. Alcaraz has never won that. He's going to want to win it. Sinner's the best hardcourt player in the world right now. It's pretty clear. And Djokovic has won that the most times out of anyone. So that's going to be super competitive between those three guys. But I really think, and it's just obvious now that the era of the big three dominating the majors is over, and the era of even Djokovic dominating the majors is over, unless he comes out and wins like all 4 next year. But I don't see that happening when Alcaraz and Sinner are around like this. So big moment, I think, for men's tennis. Honestly, it maybe doesn't feel like it, but Djokovic and Alcaraz going out early opened the door for someone new to win the U.S. Open or a major, and that didn't happen. Jannik Sinner won the U.S. Open, and he kind of proved to everyone that he is the number one player in the world, and that he's mentally a multiple Grand Slam champion in his mind because he can get it done. So great day for Jannik Sinner. As I said, bad day to be a Jannik Sinner hater or complaining about his doping tests. It's just like you can't, if you don't trust the system, then you can't really worry about a clean sport, because if the doping system doesn't work, then all the top guys would probably be doing it, and then we wouldn't have any integrity in the sport. And if you get caught with what's called a billionth of a gram in your system, then that's not performance enhancing, and it was not his fault, which was found. So anyways, I think that, people are going to continue to grovel about it, and I think Jannik Sinner is going to continue to win majors. Just like Aryna Sabalenka will as well, where she took out Jessica Pegula in 2 sets, and again was a much more capable player on these courts, although it was a close match, almost as long as the men's match, 7-5, 7-5. If we're looking at the stats, 6 aces for Sabalenka, actually tied on the first serve win percentage at 65%. Second serve better for Sabalenka. So it was a close match. Jessie Pegula did a great job, but clearly the match was on Sabalenka's racket with 40 winners to 34 unforced errors, 17 winners only for Pegula to 22 unforced errors. But what a player. Sorry, I didn't have the stats up there. What a player Pegula is. Able to rock with the biggest hitters in the game, like Swiatek, like Sabalenka, and stand her ground and be an effective counterpuncher and bring her own aggression and make them sweat. And Sabalenka 7-5, 7-5. You could see what it meant to her as she won it. She wins outside of the Australian Open for the first time, and yeah, she's big time. She is big time. So great win for Sabalenka. Again, tough day to be an American tennis fan like Matthew McConaughey. He came out to support looking like an absolute G. But the red, white, and blue was not meant to be today. The drought for the men will continue, and we will see when the next opportunity is for them to get something, because it's hard out there. It's competitive. But obviously making the final for Taylor Fritz is going to give him more confidence that he can do it again. But I guess in this tournament, what I would say is, he's the 12th ranked player, so he did beat Zverev, who's ahead of him. But Zverev's not one of the major champion winners, but he hasn't beaten a Sinner or an Alcaraz or a Djokovic in a major yet. So I feel like he doesn't have the belief that he can yet until he does. So that's going to have to wait as well. But in general, tough day for the American tennis. Great day for Jannik Sinner and the Crota boys and the Italian fans and Sabalenka and her fans. And yeah, that's how Sinner beat Taylor Fritz. He's too good at the same type of game. Taylor Fritz isn't dynamic enough to beat Sinner at his own game. That doesn't make sense. Sinner's the best ball baseline basher in the game. And Fritz just didn't have what it took to get over him. And Sabalenka is the biggest player in the women's game. And yeah, Jessica Pegula could not quite hang. So that's the slice. That's what you need to know. Leave your thoughts, as always, below. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, and we're almost there. We think we're going to be there by the end of the year, and you guys play a huge part in that. So thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Check out the links below to our sponsors. We will see you next time here on the show.